Sabera, are you finally here?
I'm here.
What's up? What's your Speedo game contribution?
My Speedo game contribution?
Favorite game and replace a word with Speedo.
Favorite game, replace a word with Speedo. I'm gonna have to go with Speedo Man X.
That sounds intense. I want that game. All right, dudes, we're gonna throw it over to Sabera. Is that how you pronounce it, Sabera?
That is how you pronounce it. It's Sabera.
Perfect. Well, we're gonna throw it over to Sabera as they let us know what we're gonna be playing. Axiom Verge IMB. Tell us about it.
Axiom Verge is a 2015 Metroid-style game. It is a one-person effort. Everything, the graphics, the music, the development, was all done by one guy. His name is Tom Happ. And he is actually very close with the speedrunning community for this game. We get a lot of developer support from him. Really good guy. 100% IMB is 100% of all items in the game. 100% map completion, because both of those counters are shown at the end of the game, both items and map completion. And it's also an all bosses run. So we are going to kill everything that the game considers a boss and also get all of the things and see all of the things. And there's a few things that we actually don't see, even though we see all of the things, because glitches. This is the glitch heaviest run in all of Axiom Verge, and it's super fun, and I hope that you all enjoy it. Also, you have about 30 minutes from the time that I start this run to the time that I get passcode tool, which is the thing that that gets you the Speedo. So if you want to donate towards Speedo or no Speedo, that's your time limit. When I get passcode tool, that's
short for Speedo chat. You can do it.
Yeah, and I'm matching donations on whichever one loses. So whatever the one that came up short is, that's how much money I'm giving. So you want me to give more money? Give to the underdog. Give to the underdog. Whoever the underdog is.
Are you matching donation to whichever loses so that it wins, or at the end of the bid war, whichever one lost, you're matching that donation?
Just at the end of the bid war, at the end of my run, I'm gonna go back and look at which one lost, and I'm gonna type in that number, and I'm gonna donate that much.
Nice. Thank you for your generosity.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So before,
for the record,
go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. You were saying something.
I was gonna ask. Are you familiar with an older game on the NES called Abadox?
I have heard of Abadox. I've never played it, though.
I'm getting real... You should check it out after this run. I'm getting real spooky Abadox vibes from this, and I'm very, very excited to see this speedrun. I haven't experienced this game before.
This game is awesome, and you're going to see just about all of it.
Cool.
All right. We ready?
Ready when you are.
And Orloth. So with me, I have Orloth. So I hold world record in this category, and Orloth is second place in this category and has generously agreed to commentate this run. And Orloth has been running for, I think, about half a month less than I have, and has mostly run 100%. So, we ready?
I am.
All right, let's do the thing. I'm going to leave most of the beginning of the game to you, Orloth.
Okay.
So please take it away.
Well, turn off the cheat tool for one thing.
Oh, shoot. Holy.
You're going to have to restart.
I am going to have to restart. Wow.
So
okay,
we have a lot of programmers in our community, so we have developed a cheat tool for Axiom Verge to help us practice. So
I was using it to practice one of the glitches that I hadn't gotten the chance to practice today, and forgot to turn it off. Orloth even reminded me before we started, and I still forgot. So
right away is some tight platforming to get the first few items. The Axiom Disruptor, which is the plot gun. I'm going to try to avoid a whole lot of the plot spoilers, because this is an excellent game to play through, especially if you like 90s sci-fi. It is a trippy 90s sci-fi with some horror aspects, definitely some aliens, some giant robots thrown in. It's a really fun romp. But anyway, some basic platforming to get up to the second weapon, which is the Nova. And we call this area Brinstar because it's basically just a Brinstar tower. straight out of Super Metroid.
Already enjoying the creepy, dark, bloody aesthetics.
Yeah, it's really gritty and messy and makes you feel like you're inside a living organism that really just doesn't want you to be there.
Gross.
No.
Oh, oops.
Good recovery.
Thank you.
God, anything with pulsating walls is just no. Oh,
there's
God.
there's a lot of gooey, some pulsating. So,
Yeah, there's a lot of gooey pulsating in this game. That's I think there's a channel rule to keep things PG-13.
Oh, so we can't talk about the counter. Okay. So you got Nova, which is a key item that we really only use like 3 times. 2 of them are on slugs. Like that one. And then locks, which we need to bypass. And then we'll be putting away Nova for a while. I don't know if Sabera even uses it on Gertab.
I do not use it on Gertab. I use it one more time on the last snail just after, or just before the next laser barrier. Like the last snail exiting Zetter, but...
So here's the first boss, Zeter. Yep. So Tom Happ made this game as an homage to old NES and Super NES games. So it's very intentionally made glitchy, buggy, and the bosses and enemies are very manipulable. And you'll see this very simple manipulation that we do of Zeter so that we get a quick kill, and that's a really good time.
Thank you.
That explosion was cool too.
Uh-huh.
Most of the bosses explode something like that. It is actually one of the really nice things about this game is that the boss deaths are very satisfying. Yeah, so I have this laser drill now. It is a important movement item. It lets me drill through blocks that I otherwise would not be able to get through. You can also use it to hit switches and deal damage to enemies. And using it to deal damage to enemies will be important for a large portion of the game.
Some weapons with slower attack rates, you can actually fit drill shots in between their attack rates. So short range damage, you can just hit an attack, then hit drill, then hit an attack, then hit drill, to nearly double our DPS. And a lot of the boss manipulations and such, we use that quite frequently.
Yeah, there are 20 weapons in Axiom Verge. There are 20 weapons in this game, not counting a suite of weapons that are only available to you in story mode and do not appear in speedrun mode. And I won't say any more about that. But out of the 20 weapons that we get in speedrun mode, we care about exactly 4 of them. And of those, we have 2 already. And we're about to get our 3rd. And the 3rd one is the one that we use with the drill. So you'll see that coming up here in just a moment.
And the
What's
reason
your
for that
personal
is...
favorite weapon?
Sorry, did you ask my favorite weapon?
Yeah.
My favorite weapon is the 4th weapon that we get in this run. It is literally the best weapon in the game. It's
Nice.
I'm not going to spoil it because it's so good.
I'm partial to one of the secret world weapons, but we don't get to use that at all.
What is that?
That is Elsa Nova. She's kind of our mascot. She's beautiful. Compliment her. Give her a kiss on the way by.
She's fantastic.
I did mention giant robots, didn't I?
So fun little side note. Those big robots are called Rusalki, after a Russian water spirit. And my wife's display name on Twitter used to be Rusalka, so it was kind of meant to be. So we're coming up on the second boss. So if I do things that look a little bit weird, like going into this save room so that I can jump around and jump back out, remember that we're doing 100% map completion, and a lot of the places in the early game that we see, we're just never going to come back to. So there's no good opportunity to get those map tiles later.
The second boss, Talal, is a big boy, and he can't turn around. So, just another boss exploit.
Yeah, so we're just going to hang out behind Talal like this, and I'm just going to jam the fire button as fast as I can up to some maximum, at which point I would start dropping shots.
Approximately 8 notes triplets if you're listening to the music.
And that's Talal. That's probably going to be a 39. Yep. I feel pretty good about that time.
Nice. And then this room, we're getting the glitch gun, the address disruptor, which is one of the main aesthetics of the game, where we're glitching items and stuff, and I'll try not to get into the lore. But also, this room has a very strict cycle to get the first bubble out of it, so that you don't lose time, and yeah, you get it easily.
What is this? Is this like a fragmenter weapon that turns things into platforms, or?
No, it's basically a hacking gun. You're hacking reality in the lore of the game. And so you can change enemies to different things. It's not always a good thing. Some of the enemies get meaner when you hack them. But there's a lot of platforms that show up when you hack them, stuff like that.
Literal hacker man.
Yeah.
Yes. It's one of the super cool things about this game. So this room that I'm in right now, we call it Squid Room. The thing that I just did, going through it without stopping and without taking a hit, is called a full YOLO. It's possible to take a hit or to pause through there, in which case you're only doing a half YOLO Squid Room. There is one more YOLO in this run, which is coming up in the next area, and which is a lot of fun to show off. But those like little swaggy jumps are...
Yeah, we basically cleared out the starting area of everything we need, and we're going from one end of the map to the other to get the next set of items that we really need. And so we're just trying to get through this very dangerous area with as much health as possible so we can damage boost our way through certain sections to get to Kerr.
Yeah, so this area that we're in right now is called Z, and Z has these ants that fire these like 3 spread projectiles that you see. Those do just like absolutely crushing amounts of damage. So we don't want to take a lot of hits from them, and we want to pick up some guaranteed health where we can. But mostly we're just trying to get out of here as fast as we can, because there is nothing in Z for us at this point in time. I didn't really want to take
that. Is something to mention. We do have a dedicated, because Tom is excellent and loves us, we have a dedicated speedrun mode to this, and it comes with a fixed RNG seed. So we know how the enemies are going to move for the most part, which ones are going to drop health, and that helps us route out where we want to go. So this room here that Sabera is in is called YOLO, and it is one of the most offensive in terms of damage boosting our way through and clever manipulation.
Oh no!
And she took an extra hit, so
and that's bad. So now we go all the way back to the beginning of the game.
No.
Yes, I got a little too aggressive with the YOLO rooms. This is actually going to cost us quite a few minutes. So that was not ideal. But the good news is that
room. Let me just say, like, as soon as those like centipede tail things started coming out of the pipes, I would have just set the controller down and be like, nope. I will play this at 9:30 in the morning when the sun is up, and no sooner.
Yeah. So unfortunately, it is gonna it does cost a little bit of time, but it is possible for us to make that time up. Well, not to make it up, but there's a shortcut that we can take, basically, that we couldn't take before. So it's only going to take a few minutes to get back to where we were, as opposed to like a million years. But
you're giving extra time for everyone to donate for the Speedo outfit. I see.
Yes, that is exactly what's happening here.
One thing to mention, I love the sound design here. Not only the music, which is just absolutely every track is a banger, but the monster sounds were
Just
like
pick this up
keeping
right
me
now.
on edge. The screeching, the grittiness. I like ghouls and such could make me jump.
I can't hear it right now because I have to pay attention to the call. So now you've got me scared. Like this is a part of the game I don't even get to experience yet.
It's
Oh,
good.
we did have a raid. Crash McCloud raided with 2 folks. So hello everybody. Thank you for coming by. Welcome
Oh,
to Fast
nice.
First Fall Festival.
Thank you so much for the raid.
No, Shido saying so much of a Metroid. I can see the Metroid, I can see the Castlevania, I can see the Contra. This is very much a love letter to these games.
Oh yeah, this
Oh,
even
yeah.
has the Contra grapple gun later on, which spoilers.
Scarab, thank you for the Twitch Prime subscription. Welcome back for your 2nd month.
Oh, the grapple is Bionic Commando, but yes.
Oh right.
So how long was you said this was all made by the same one person? How long a process was this for them?
About 5 years. The first 3 or 4 years of that was hobby, and then he got picked up by, I think it was the PlayStation.
Yeah, there's like a PlayStation indie grant program or something like that. I don't remember exactly the.
He is almost done with the 2nd, actually, in the series, which should be coming out early next year. Yes, and that'll be on the Switch at first. Axiom Verge 2.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and just like re-up my health over here so that nothing bad happens again. Oh boy. All right. So we're a little bit back on track now. We're getting close to where we want to be. We just have to go through this whole green area again. So you get to see all of this all over again. We get to see if I can repeat the full YOLO Squid Room. And a hop there, and a boop, and a boop.
Pat, give her your energy. Type YOLO.
Don't encourage her. I don't take full YOLOs in marathons, and she's... Well, I guess there's a reason she's world record holder, and I'm not anymore.
I mean, that was definitely not a marathon run, so...
This man has such powerful legs to be making these jumps.
Right?
Yes.
This is why you don't skip leg day. You can't destroy the alien infrastructure if you skip leg day.
He's a physicist, too, so, like, if anyone tells you that you can't be a strong nerd, like, they're lying to you. Okay.
I just assumed the gravity was lower on this planet, but okay.
Every time he jumps, I just imagine, like, an Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's just using the sheer willpower to launch himself vertically.
That jump
he does hack reality, so possibly.
That jump that I just went over before is the jump of no return. You can't. It's technically possible to get back over it with a damage boost, but you're not supposed to be able to make that jump for quite some time until you get the grappling hook. Now, the game intends us to get the grappling hook in a particular order, and we oblige the game. All right, we're gonna take this. We're gonna take this a little more.
Little story while she's doing that. The IMB route used to be based on the no major glitches route, which takes the first 17 to 20 minutes, depending on how fast you are at the run. Pretty much just like the no major glitches route, and skips the grapple until much later. I noticed, because I watch other categories, how buggy the grapple is, and wondered if we could get it earlier. But because, like, a lot of people would call this the early grapple iteration, but because it's like the intended order that you get it, I like staunchly called it the intended grapple, and in our official route documentation, it eventually got named the intended grapple route.
This is the grossest enemy I've seen. I don't like this.
Those
worms.
Those coral and their worms are the only source of RNG in speedrun mode, because everything else is RNG locked.
It's not technically random because it is based on your inputs on the controller, but that's not really controllable. So
yeah, it's
it is, yeah. Even with a
yes.
fixed seed, you can't get rid of every random thing. So now we are in Mission Impossible because it's a tower with lasers.
I would like to not be taking those hits.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're doing it.
We're just gonna take that real safe. So coming out of Mission Impossible, we move on into what is called the Juicy Room. And so if you thought we had other gross things before, just look at these shrimpies that are firing these gusher bullets at us. I don't know how else to describe them. I call them gushers. And it's gross. That was not a particularly clean Juicy Room, but here we are, and now we have Wi-Fi.
So the Wi-Fi is, the description of the item is that you're changing the local field so that you can jump higher. You're just changing gravity so you can jump even higher with that leg day.
Yes, it's really a whole thing. So now we're gonna save warp. We're like past kind of the dangerous part of the run. I embarrassed that I took that time loss in YOLO Room. It cost about 5 minutes. But we're back on track now, and now we're moving with the high jump. We actually go back from Kerr into Z to fight our next boss, who is going to give us our next important key transition item. And let's see. So we got a little more coral here. We got a couple more of these hoppers. We got some bullets, and then we move over into this high-tech area where we zombie jump.
The last game I witnessed before I go to bed tonight.
I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry.
No.
There are stories of Tom waking up from nightmares and just drawing these bosses. So much love to Tom's wife for putting up with that.
I believe it. There's a childhood nightmare I had involving a plant monster that I will never forget until my die. Oh my god.
Yes. So the deal with this thing is you see that pink stuff underneath it? It looks kind of like Pepto-Bismol. So we call that walk through it the Pepto-Biz crawl.
And just like in the hacking room, she's hacking platforms that were intended to let us get past once the boss is dead, to get to a spot that the boss can't reach.
Factory.
Yes, so behind here we're going to hit this switch that turns on the power, and then we are going to go into this back room where we are going to find ourselves a lab coat.
Lab coat is extremely helpful because it does two very important things for us. One of those things is that it reduces damage by a great deal.
60%.
Which is very helpful in those damage boosts that we keep talking about. And she's going to climb up Mission Impossible. I'm going to note really quickly that I didn't talk about this before, but the laser enemies, when hacked, will be helpful. And
they become allies.
But the second thing that the lab coat lets us do is it lets us teleport through walls. Yes, this is intended.
Yes, so we can walk through one tile thick walls by pressing against them. We double tap, and then we have to hold in the wall direction for a couple of seconds, like this. It's slow, unfortunately. I'm not going to take the fast cycle, even though I seem to hit it 100% of the time now, because knowing me, something bad will happen. There is a faster cycle on these on the armadillo enemies in this upper Kerr area, but if you mess it up, you die.
This whole upper Kerr area is very cycle based as we move through. You can theoretically beat one of these rocks up here to get the fastest cycle, and it's about 10 seconds either way if you make the cycle or have to wait.
Yeah. But we're on our way to pick up one of our only friends in this world, and that is a remote drone that we can send out to go scouting for us and sometimes to hit switches. And that will be extremely important because we need that drone to crawl through a space and hit some switches for us. which is the exact thing that I just said, in a room that we bypassed a couple of times at this point, which is right here. So if we come in here and we pop this up here, the drone will hit the switch for us and drop this laser barrier and allow us to move through here. And behind these walls, there is another set of tunnels that we're going to set our drone through to hit another switch. And the whole purpose of going through this segment is that there is an item in this room that's waiting for us that we need to proceed with the game. I tried very hard to skip this item, and that's actually how I invented some of the tech that I invented in 100%. Was just I was like looking to skip this item, and I never found it. You can't skip this item. This is Address Disruptor 2. It is the stronger version of our glitch gun. With this, we can not only glitch things faster, but we can glitch things that we couldn't glitch before. And the important thing about that is that now gives us access to the area that the grappling hook is in and the next boss. Now, if we were doing any % no major glitches, at that point at which we grabbed Address Disruptor 2, we would save warp all the way back to the beginning of the game, which is where I went when I died that time. Let's just remember that shame. In order to avoid getting the grappling hook. Because going out of your way to get the grappling hook costs quite a lot of time. But the only reason you need the grappling hook in any % is to get past the jump of no return. And since you can just save warp, you don't actually need the grappling hook to get past the jump of no return. And now I'm taking a little detour here to pick up an item. This weapon, the Hypo Atomizer, is actually really useful in casual play. The very next boss that we're going to fight, the quick kill is pretty interesting, I think. But it's if you are fighting the next boss casually, the Hypo Atomizer is probably the best weapon that you could use to not go completely insane. It's
only his belly is vulnerable. So you're either going to be using the Hypo Atomizer or the Nova weapon.
I really want gushers right now.
Oh no, I missed the cycle.
Good. Oh no. Okay.
Oh no, I got the cycle.
Really
Never mind.
good path through the juicy climb. Oh yeah! Wow, I just saw that.
Oh yeah, sorry. Commentators are on a several second delay from me, so if I'm talking about something and everything is not quite lined up yet, that's why. Okay, so now we are on our way to the next boss, Gertab. I'm going to warn you ahead of time, Gertab is a big scorpion. If you are afraid of bugs, or if you have a scorpion phobia in particular, you may want to look away from Gertab.
I feel like Gertab, based on that description, is going to be the least horrifying thing I've seen in this run so far. Like, what is that on the left? What is that thing with the face on the vines?
One of the Rizalki who's dead.
Oh no. No. You're kidding me. How did that...
Oh.
Okay. Well, I screwed that up. I don't know how. Even though he moved, I should have been fine.
Gertab, the damage it takes to... What we do is we get in close so that it causes him to use his flamethrower attack, and he does the attack based on his current damage. And when he starts that attack, he's at full health, so it's really slow. So we go through and we damage boost to his belly and try to damage all of his health while he's running that very slow flamethrower attack. If we get off cycle on our Cliver drill, we call it the Drillver combos, or he can just get up and walk away when the flamethrower is done and cause some trouble for us.
Yeah, but that has literally never happened to me before, where I've actually died as the result of that.
Usually you can chase him down and finish him off.
Yeah,
but
so I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, I get it, 100%. What happened there? But that's okay. That's a much less significant time loss than the one we already suffered. So
Marathon luck.
You're a scientist. Any good scientist will do the same trial multiple times to collect better data. You're just making sure that you're covering your bases, you know?
Exactly. That works. Of note on the lore of the saves, when you die, you're like nano gates or whatever.
I wouldn't go into that.
So the point is that we
Oh.
get we keep all of our items and all of our progress.
Oh yes.
When we save and quit. So navigating and routing this has been really interesting. Between all of the glitches that we can get, which we'll get into later, and being able to save warp, we've had a lot of fun routing this category. And the world record in the last few months since Sabera and I started running it has gone down a little over 7 minutes, I think.
There we go.
Nice.
Jeez.
Whew, okay.
There we go.
This next area we're going into is grapple room.
Grapple room.
Say hi to another Rizalki.
Yeah.
Nope.
You don't like giant robots?
I
They're
am
gorgeous.
waiting for one of those to open their eyes and start spitting bullets. Like, nope.
Spoilers. Anyway.
Yes.
Anyway. So this room, when Tom did a balance patch, he forgot to remove a lot of enemies from this room. So it is just infested with enemies that deal a whole lot of damage and will yeah, so even with knowing which enemies drop health, it can be a tricky room to climb quickly and without dying. So Sabera's taking it a bit safe here.
Yeah, I'm overcompensating, basically, because things that should have been easy before have killed me twice now. So
Wow, that took your health down so fast.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a very dangerous area. And hacking a lot of these things only makes them more dangerous.
yes,
Really?
The little white critters get bigger when you hack them. The screeching enemies that go horizontal start to draw lines. Yeah, it's not a great place to launch an address
That's not
bomb.
fair.
So we're going to do something a little bit silly here. We're going to launch our drone over the edge. And the reason that we're doing this is actually because we want our drone to collect a bunch of map tiles for us that otherwise would be kind of annoying to collect. We don't want to drop Trace all the way down to the bottom of this chasm because then we would have to climb back up in a very slow way. And also, we're going to use our drone in a very silly way to pick up this power node so we don't have to come back there later. We drop the drone down to pick up that particular map tile, and then we freeze here and boop, our drone over here to get the grappling hook and recall it for the third time this room, so that we can now send Trace over to grapple here because we can't get here with our drone, and there's one more item in grapple room, and that is this health node fragment. And with that, we are done with grapple room.
So I would like to talk a little bit about the mechanics of the grapple. Because if you guessed that this was the most broken item in the game, you guessed correctly. Good job. Pat yourselves on the back. There are two things that the grapple does. One is that it only has 5 animation points in its swing. It doesn't swing smoothly. So we can do that to kind of trick the grapple into one grapple position to another to get through usually one tile wide, but sometimes much greater barriers. And we'll generally call this a grapple clip. Most of the time that's going to be downwards, but we can do it across one tile barriers and even laser barriers with a little bit of finagling. The second thing is the grapple.
What is that?
Oh, that's Aroka. She goes really fast. We love her. Don't insult Aroka.
Araka is our friend. Araka is one of 2 friends that we have in this world. We have the remote drone and we have Araka.
You know,
everybody else is at best. Everybody else that
into this world, and I was like, "Ooh, this is a nice color palette. I feel safe in this part." And then you went one room over, and the trail was all that waited me.
Incidentally, if your FPS is high enough, you won't move forward if you try to walk while Araka is moving. And so if you run in place on her head, that's giving her head scritchies. They are mandatory. Scritch Araka. She is a good girl. She deserves it.
A brain drain.
But really,
man.
But really quickly, the grapple's coordinates are fixed point in the map, and if you are grappled onto something when you move to a different zone, it can cause shenanigans to happen, and this is what we're about to see.
Yeah, so there's some shenanigans right there. And
so that was the grapple clip to get through there, and then the coordinates set when she went up through that door.
Oh, hold on a second. Watch this. Free.
And then she, rub it in. So she clips down. She got into an unloaded room way above the map, and then she was able to clip down into the save room across from this boss. And this skips one of the longest, just the entire drug sequence, which is plot spoilers. But now you fight this boss where you are actually the boss, and Trace just shoots at you really slowly.
Yep. And that's all about manipulating the boss to drag Trace as far across the room as possible, so that ending animation that's about to play out is as short as possible.
But that principle where we're manipulating the game's coordinate system using various means, usually with a grapple, but occasionally with the drone, is quite common and allows us to go pretty much anywhere where those coordinates overlap, assuming we can find a viable place to activate the glitch. And that's the tricky part a lot of the time. Yes,
that's true. So you're going to see one more grapple trick like that, specifically a door grapple. So the big thing was that I transitioned between two areas while I was grappled onto something, and that's what activates that particular glitch. And so there's one more instance of that in the run. There's a whole bunch of other, grapple tricks that we do, but those are the only two door grapples. But you will also see a bunch of...
There's two more, I thought. But
two more?
Are you doing the double void, the back door?
I'm doing the double void, but that's not a door grapple. That's a grapple clip into two void warps.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
it's similar.
I would like to. There we go. No, so void warps are use a similar kind of concept to the door grapples, but they're executed very differently, and rely on a different kind of behavior that the game evinces.
That's a weird word for lab coat you just got?
Oh, it's actually a trench coat. We're not a scientist anymore. We're private eyes. So I dash, and I can dash through two tiles.
And we can do it at will. So it speeds up our movement, and dashing, pretty much on cooldown, is going to be the fastest form of movement until we get the next upgrade.
Angie Cartoon goes, "It's a dashing trench coat."
It is
a dashing trench coat. So we're going to come back to this room later, but we're not actually going to see it, at least ideally. So enjoy that while it lasts.
The bones in the background, the beautiful skybox.
Yeah,
that's not a box, it's a background, but
this whole area.
Yeah, the race for coat or speedo is gonna end probably after, what would you say, Uku?
Roughly. I'll let you know when it's
Okay. It's gonna be pretty soon here. So if you want your side to win, you better get some.
No, get off of me. Thank you. Right. They didn't even do that much damage. That's fine. Okay. Come on. There we go. All right, so that's a grapple clip. Oh, right. So you haven't actually seen that yet. Again, delayed. You're about to see a grapple clip.
Yes, it works just like that. We snap through the animations so that we can go through areas, usually down.
I almost forgot to get the map tiles there, but I did not.
This is confusing visually. Your character's zipping around so much they just blink out of existence. It's like, they're over here.
It gets worse.
Just wait. Oh my gosh. We're coming up on the big one. All right.
So
this is
Uku is probably the second of the most difficult bosses casually, and we make it a little bit more difficult by trying to do some rocket jumps in the middle of our manipulation of the AI, so that we can collect map tiles, which is she's doing very well. But the casually, you probably won't realize that the enemies that this guy spawns can be hacked, and when they're hacked, they turn into bombs. You may think this is a bad thing. Well, lucky for us, he's affected by his own bombs.
Yeah, so that's Uku quick kill. And behind Uku, we have one of the most important items in the game, the drone teleport. Drone teleport is fantastic. It allows us to switch places with our drone instead of recalling it. And that's much faster because the swap happens instantaneously. Also, we fire the drone out in front of us, and it moves a little faster than our base walking speed when we first fire it out. The other nice thing about the drone is that the drone actually moves through doors faster than Trace does because the drone's sprite is smaller. There's a lot of there's kind of a lot of reasons why we love drone teleport, but I haven't even told you all of the reasons why we love drone teleport. There's one other important thing about the drone launch, which is that if you launch the drone at the end of your dash, it inherits momentum from your dash, so you can actually make it launch farther and faster. But the other thing that we love about the drone is that when it's not out here, it actually maintains its position. One second.
She has to do a setup here, so.
All right, now if I didn't do that right, I'm going to soft lock in a little bit, but that's actually a pretty small time loss. But so if I did it right, it's going to look real fancy, and you're going to be real impressed.
Remember that coordinate system that I was talking about with the drone's position? We can also, or with the grapple head's position, we can also do that with the drone, but we can only activate it in certain spots where there's void, and void is something where there's literally no map. So in order to get to the void, she has to do some shenanigans to get into a backdoor position in this door transition by coding past the door transition.
So let me explain backdoor. Under certain circumstances, if you put Trace's body inside of a door before the door transition starts, it will trigger the transition, but once you move to the other side, you'll get ejected back out the way you came. When this happens during an area transition, there's nothing on the other side of that door for you to get ejected into, so you end up in the void. And so in this case, we used that to set up for a void warp. So then the void warp is basically I call my drone back, or I launch my drone. And I'm out of bounds, so the drone is out of bounds. And the way the game tries to correct this is by sending the drone back to its last known valid coordinates. I did that wrong. There we go. And in that case, that happened to correspond to right inside the door to the room of the passcode tool. So I do have the passcode tool now, so the bid war is now closed. Are we...
I stayed true to my word, winning by merely $2. We are wearing the Speedo.
We are wearing the Speedo. All right, so this is the second Void Warp in the double Void Warp chain. Once I get the next item, I will stop and put the Speedo on. So
that variation of the route was developed by Sabera and Beef in collaboration to try to route out an intentional death that we were using to keep the drone's position for a different void.
Yes. I hated... There we go, Speedo.
Yeah, let's go.
So this game is an homage to older NES titles, but it's also an homage to its glitch aesthetic. You can see that many of the items, the terrain and enemies, when they're glitched out, do that sort of fuzzy, like you want to blow on the cartridge so that it cleans it out sort of thing. But also the Game Genie codes are in there as a part of the lore of the world. And one of those that you can plug in is Justin Bailey as for the original Metroid and puts Trace in a Speedo. I still think coats are sexier.
It is an official Speedo run now.
That is correct. It is an official Speedo run now. Okay, wait. Really? I didn't get that tile? Thank you. I'm doing a bad job of routing through this at this point, so forgive me a little bit. But there's a bunch of map tiles here, and it can be quite a pain to go back and get some of them later. So I'm just trying to cover some of that ground now. So the big thing that we want here, and the thing, when we took the intentional death, the point was to void warp immediately into this room that we're just going into now, which has the enhanced drone launcher in it. And the enhanced drone launcher makes your launch go farther and faster. And that's cool. That means that we can use that time in between our dash cooldown to go even more faster.
And again, inheriting the speed from your dashing, so you're just teleporting around the map just as fast as you can mash that button sequence, which is 6 inputs a second.
Yes.
That cannot be stressed enough. This is not a great... this is not good on your fingers.
So the reason that I'm saving here in a PB run, you wouldn't actually do this, is because the next trick that I'm going to do has a risk of soft lock, and that soft lock would send me back quite a long ways if I were to...
be able to get back because we cheated our way up here.
Yes. All right, so let's see if we can do this. Well, it wasn't a soft lock, but that's not the trick. Let's see. Nope.
And then just after she manages this trick is going to be she needs to navigate blindly, so quiet while she does that, and then I'll explain it really quick.
There we go. 1st try. Audio cue. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, that's not right. There we go.
Whew. Okay. So that was called Temple Skip, and using pretty much the same set of coordinates trick with the grapple as we go through a zone transition as before, we convinced the game that we were actually on the bottom of Temple and navigated that room blindly to get here, and now we're getting red code.
Yes, and an important thing about Temple Skip is that in order to get to the interior of Temple, you actually need to go out of your way to get a Temple key. We will still be getting that because it is an item, and we require 100% item completion. But we'll be getting it after we don't need it anymore. Now, I will need about 45 seconds, my friends, to treat you to something.
Look at this dash. Isn't it neat?
Nope.
Wouldn't you say my collection's complete? Wouldn't you say she's the girl who has everything? Look at this health, a sight to behold. How many hit points can one human hold? Looking around, you'd say, sure, that girl has got everything. I've got void warps and grapples aplenty. I've got lasers and launchers galore. You want teleports? I got 20.
Nope,
but who cares? No big deal. I want more. I want to be where the items are. I wanna see 'em glowing. Enter the passcodes and find all that word? Doors. Wearing a trench coat don't get you far. Red coats required for faster coat swaps. Clip with my grapple and pass through the... They call it... Oh yeah! Floors. I wanna dash. I wanna glitch. You've never seen such a graceful... Witch. I definitely always meant to say witch. Wild and free. This category. It's IMB.
Bravo.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that little musical interlude.
So, as referenced in that song, we now have the whole tech kit. We can break this game.
We could technically call what they just did,
ways.
which he just did, an Axiom Verge.
It was not a dirge. It was too heavy for a dirge.
No, I like Axiom Verge though. It's too
For all
good.
the frames we killed.
Fun.
Okay, so I do have my entire movement kit now. I have to clean up the rest of Temple. Basically, the phase of the game that we're in now is cleanup. Please dash through the thing. Thank you. There's a note inside this wall for no apparent reason. Whoop.
Some builder stashed his secret notes in the mortar when it was being mixed, I guess.
I think the hardest thing about this section, especially in Temple, is just remembering to get all of the map tiles. There are like a couple that are really finicky. But we're now backtracking to get the key that was supposed to be to give us interior access to the temple. That's all we're doing, is like we care about a note and we care about the key, but the key is useless. We've already as Orloff likes to call it, we've desecrated the temple.
We are not supposed to go through here with the red coat, and it shows.
Yes.
Those sentries are really tough enemies on the brown coat, but with the damage reduction and immunity phase from the red coat, they still do a lot of health. She just took a hit, and you can see it took out like a third of her health. But they're much less dangerous than they would be with the brown coat.
The other thing is that
with
the red coat also auto breaks the drill blocks. I don't actually have to drill through them. So, and yep, we got everything.
Blocks have a lot of health, so it's very tedious to get through them before you get red coat.
Do we have time for a donation?
Now we have time for donations.
Okay,
yes.
we got a $1 donation from Tempest Mask 1000 with a very heartfelt message. He goes, "Good evening," or she, "Good evening, Fastest First Fall Festival. For this first-time donor and host, I sure had a blast today with day one of the marathon. We sure had quite the highlights and then some, and Axiom Verge is a great way to close things off. Shout out to our awesome host right now, Sonic Mega." Oh, thank you. "I'm glad to say this donation goes to Lori's DK Bongo Cam incentive. Yes, thank you. Also, shout out to Sabera running and Orloff on commentary. Sabera, I believe in you."
Thank you so much, Tempest.
We are now missing $19 for the Bongo Cam. That much closer.
Nice. Thank you, Tempest.
Yes. So at this point, we're basically just trying to clean up most of Kerr. In old versions of this route, or in old versions of this category, rather, at this point we would basically clean up all of Kerr and then never see it again. But there's one particular spot in Kerr, in particular. Oh no, I hatched into the item. That's a crummy feeling. There's one particular spot in Kerr cleanup, kind of at the bottom of it, that is kind of an unfortunate out and back. It's not a loop trail. And so I maybe routed that out a little bit. Oh no, I missed a tile.
Real quick, we've got a raid of 40 people from Mr. Shasta. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome everyone to Fastest First Fall Festival. You're currently watching Axiom Verge, run by SaberaMesia.
Okay, we're just gonna do this to get this item.
Whew.
There we go.
Big room cleanup can be messy because you've got a lot of area to cover, and it's not always going to be clean.
This room in particular has items scattered in weird places, and so it's I'm basically. Oh, I did not hit the top. There we go. Friggin' bull. That was bull hockey.
Okay, you got it all.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And then get in the Sabera tiles.
Yep. Fun fact, those are called Sabera tiles because I basically just missed them repeatedly my first couple of runs. So I'm now going to just go ahead and leave this area behind. Even though we haven't gotten everything in it. And the reason for that is that it is much faster here to just go ahead and exit right immediately back into Eden. This is the place where we got the drone teleport, if you remember. It is also the home of one more boss and another important, well, quote unquote, important item. Actually, we do need it. There are certain items that we can't get access to without it. But it's we don't use it for the regular. Really? Go away, ghouls. Okay, so you're supposed to go through the boss to get to the next item, but that's slow. So we would rather just grapple clip over there. And once we do that, we can basically just walk out, get a couple more map tiles. After we get those map tiles, we're going to come back into the silo. That is called Silo Clip. That was introduced by Orloff, who is a beautiful big brain without whom this route could not have been possible.
Thank you. You can see all of the giant robots in the background.
I don't want to, but I do.
And we're basically going to make our way up to the non-boss boss. I don't like this. Yeah, so this is Clone. I'm not going to talk. We're not going to talk about why it's called that. But for a long time, the up exit from Clone Room, because that's actually the way that you're supposed to get into Clone Room, not the way that you're supposed to get out of it, was considered to be the real final boss of 100%. Because it was very hard to consistently get into. Transitioning up when you don't have a platform so that you can just jump into it is actually quite difficult. There are two places in this run that we do it, and I've done both of them already. One of them is when we have to revisit Gertab's room for the tiles. That we missed because Gertab's room is too high to get those tiles at the point in the game when we fight him. And the other one was just getting out of Clone Room. So we're cleaning up here. We're just moving through and getting the hidden items and making our way through this area in a direction that was not intended by the developer. We're going to do a new kind of warp that I don't think that you've seen thus far. This is called a displacement warp. So basically what's going to happen is I'm going to put my drone, I'm going to leave Trace somewhere that is supposed to be filled by drill blocks, and I'm going to move my drone into a different room. That was not where I wanted to fire that bomb. And pop it. And so the thing that happens when you recall the drone from a room that's not the room that Trace is in is that both the room that Trace is in and the room that the drone are in get reset. All the enemies respawn, all the drill blocks respawn, everything just kind of goes back
Really
to the way
quickly,
it was.
you missed the map tile, upper right of this room.
Oh, shoot. You're right. Thank you for alerting me to that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, when Trace is loaded into solid blocks, it will try to find a new position for him straight up, and we exploit that to get into unloaded rooms or just into advantageous areas of rooms.
Almost forgot the syringe. Whew. All right.
We don't want this to be a most percent.
Ideally not, no. Especially after all of the trials and tribulations that we've had to get this far. Ah. All right, there we go.
And again,
Okay.
collecting map tiles in tall rooms where you're just trying to get all the way up to the sky can be tricky.
And that
Luckily,
is everything
before the drone egg has popped, Trace himself can collect map tiles, so we can drop Trace down while the drone egg is soaring to our next teleport destination.
So that was Eden cleanup. We are actually going to go ahead and clean up this area, which is where we did drug skip earlier, because we can. And then later on, we're basically going to do the same trick as drug skip again to get back to the top of this area, except that we're not going to have to do the last finicky grapple trick at that point because reasons.
So this zone is actually two different zones, one when you are hallucinating and one when you are not. And it overlays all of our explored tiles over it, but they get rewritten as we go. They still count as completed as far as map completion goes. But all of the items are only available in the not drugged version. So we skip the drugged version entirely and only come through this area when we have all of the items to gather everything. And that saves us a lot of backtracking.
Yeah, basically. But what I'm going to do basically is make a circuit around here since I'm already here to pick these items up. And then later on, when it is time to come back to this area, I'm basically just going to do grapple shenanigans to get back to the top of this area. A true completion category, yes, that is correct.
Everything that we can permanently mark to the on position is what we go for. So that's why bosses are included. We will go for those 200% at the end.
Okay, and I need these map tiles over here. And
This movement tech is really impressive to see just happen over and over and over again.
Yeah. It gets really satisfying once you learn it and you learn the geography of all the different rooms. Hi, Elsa Nova, you're beautiful.
No, they're moving now. No.
Yep.
No!
What? You don't like Elsa Nova?
No! I liked it when they were not a threat to my continued existence.
She's friendly. She's just sitting there and talking.
For now.
She's just got enormous guns running all along her length. It's
Listen.
not a big deal. Honestly,
Listen.
like...
She is a pending SCP entry, okay?
You're not wrong about that. Yeah. So, what is going to happen here is we're going to do something a little bit weird. Once we're done with this area, which we are in fact almost done doing the item cleanup here, which is that we're actually going to circle back around the way we came and go back out to. Actually, no, that's not what I'm going to do. I keep kind of dithering on exactly how I should route this section. And I think I've decided.
Around indie cleanup, which is a long stretch where we're just drone stretching across the entire room. Because Aroka, as fast as she is, when riding Aroka, you can't collect the bottom tiles of that map.
Yes.
So that's a whole stretch where we've got to go through and collect all of those tiles. And, you know, at various stages of this route, that was in segments, that was in pieces. It was right to left, and now it's left to right. So a lot of this cleanup is routed around how are we going to fit indie in.
Yeah, so we're gonna come here, and for reasons I could not tell you, there is a power node fragment just like hanging out there. I don't know who decided to put that there, but whatever. There's also, just for no apparent reason, a note hanging out in this wall. Just why? Hi, Araka. We are not going to be taking you today. Instead, we are just going to be doing this a whole lot.
So this first stretch is a bit tricky because she hasn't gone this route before, so she needs to get the upper tiles first. That's maintaining altitude. And then once she's through that, it's just get through the bottom tiles, which is easier, but if you go too low, you'll get stuck on that terrain down there and it will interrupt your flow.
Yeah, I interrupted my own flow. Oh no. Now those bugs are going to interrupt my flow.
Oh no, the bees.
This room is so big and so long. I'm just waiting for something
Yes.
like giant to attack you.
It's the small ones.
There is actually nothing giant to attack you in that room. So now here's the reason why we didn't finish Kerr, is because, like I said, there's this out and back segment over here. So you remember the juicy room from before where we went to go get the high jump? There's a couple of items in here. There's one hanging out here that we could have actually gotten right after we got the high jump, but we save warped out of there. We didn't stick around. There was no particular reason. That's the firewall. It sucks. By the way, that weapon is terrible. There's something buried in here that we didn't have the drone for the first time that we came through here. And of course, as you see, there's stuff up here which we could not have gotten to at the point that we were at before. So older versions of this route had you get this at the end of Kerr cleanup so that you just completed Kerr and never came back. But it turns out that it's actually faster to save warp out of here, which is what we're going to do. Is once I finish cleaning this area up, and here we go, we've got tethered charge. Oh, right, you aren't seeing that on the video feed yet.
The scrubby beam. Are you gonna fire the scrubby beam?
I am gonna fire the scrubby beam.
Yes.
You're gonna watch me fire the scrubby beam, and it's gonna be scrubby.
Yes.
Scrub. All right.
That's Kerr. We're never going back to the mountain or the temple on top of the
hold
mountain.
on a second. I should double check. Yeah. Okay. I did in fact get everything in Kerr. I have forgotten stuff in Kerr before, and it is a nightmare. It is not easy to get back to Kerr to clean stuff up if you miss it at that point.
And now we're back to the very beginning of the game, Erebu. Yes. But we have a lot more stuff, and there are actually a surprising amount of secrets in Erebu with the that require late game items to collect.
So the first thing is this. So we need a dress bomb to be able to get through a breach pocket here. I'm not going to explain what that is. I'm just going to say the name. And there's an item back here. This is, I believe, the inertial pulse. If I'm not... No, this isn't inertial pulse.
This is lightning gun.
That's lightning gun. This is lightning gun. Lightning gun is also not good. At least in my opinion.
I mean, a lot of people use it casually because it auto aims and auto locks, but...
That is true.
It is a crutch.
It is not a speedrun weapon. That is...
Yes.
Oh, and we're going to save here because we are actually going to, at the very first save point, because we're nostalgic. That's actually not why. It has nothing to do with nostalgia.
But by the time we can get lightning gun, we have access to a much better weapon, which is what we are going to go get. The greatest of primordial fires.
The greatest of primordial fires. I
haven't explained the frame rate thing. Right. So a lot of weapons and items calculate damage by frame. And we turn VSync off so that the computed frames per second is basically just how fast your computer can compute them. So items like the red coat, which leave that trail behind, the drill, and certain weapons, including the flamethrower, will deal damage per frame that they are on an enemy. And what's your frame rate currently?
I don't have it displayed, but it's something like 1200 computed frames per second.
I can get up to 600 on my old computer. It's kind of ridiculous. So even if like the flamethrower on paper is only doing 8 damage per frame, that's 1200 frames per second.
Yes, it's a lot of damage. It's still it's not the only frame-based damage that we get. Enemies get damaged by red coat dash, and that is also frame-based. So there's plenty of damage to go around, and the flamethrower and red coat damage will basically serve us for the entire rest of the run.
And now we're setting up. There's the wheelchair. Lore, play the game. And then we're setting up for another displacement warp where we go up into another unloaded room to get into an area that would normally require a passcode tool, but this is faster. And it lets us get into
Thriller room.
Another screechy room and the thriller room.
Because it's thriller night. It's not thriller night anymore.
So just collecting all these map tiles and trying to dodge zombies.
All right. Okay, cool. So now we've got a couple more. So this is the room where we would have entered the passcode to get into that area if we were scrubs, basically. So we're done with that now. We're done with that whole side area. Now there's 2 more things that we care about at the top of Ereboo. There's this, which we could have gotten way at the beginning of the game, but it would have been slow.
And not helpful because it's just a size node. I mean, we'll go out of the way for damage nodes because it speeds up enemy kills and boss kills, but pretty much everything else will save until we get the full movement tech.
Yeah,
it's faster to move around.
There are 2 things that affect the traveling of your projectiles, let's say. Range nodes and size nodes. Oops, I forgot to fire the address button there. I didn't get the rocket jump. You can rocket jump into that door. It's pretty cool. And so with this health node, we are going to save warp back to the beginning of the area. Oh, yes. There is a save node, a health node in that room. And there's now only 2 more items in Ereboo before we are completely done with Ereboo. The size nodes and the range nodes only affect certain things. Only certain guns can have their size improved, and only certain things actually have a finite range that can be improved. Also, like stuff like Kilver that doesn't actually send out a projectile are not affected by range nodes. For the most part, we don't care about those things. Why do I keep going to my inventory? I know better. I know better by now. It's faster to do it from the map.
The flamethrower is affected by both, though, luckily, and it allows us to keep those little flame animated things on enemies for longer, which will be useful once we get to something that will actually survive 1 dash.
Yes, that is true.
Because right now we're just dashing through enemies so fast that we don't need a gun.
We don't need a gun.
It's like the screw attack from Super Metroid. It's just, why shoot things when you can just bowl into them with an energy field?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so now we are. I should double check. Yes. Okay, we are done with Erebu cleanup. It is time to go back to Absu. So this place was like gross and bulgy before, and it's still gross and bulgy, and it doesn't get any better. So sorry.
We're gonna be plumbing its depths into even more gross and bulgy stuff.
I'm really not sorry. The thing that I am sorry about is that I think, like, in my personal opinion, the next two areas that we clean up, Absu and Z, are the least interesting cleanup areas in the game. Because we don't, for the most part, we don't do anything that you haven't seen before, and a lot of the rooms are kind of weird to navigate. But there is some cool stuff here. So we're going to go ahead and just clear out this whole little bottom section that we couldn't clear out before, beneath the shafts of Absu. That's a weird way to put it. But at this very starting vertical column in Absu, there's a whole bunch of items that we couldn't get before because we just didn't have the kit for it. And now we have the kit for it, so we're just going to go ahead and clean those up. We are also going to be getting quite a bit of map tiles that we didn't come through this room before. We've never been in this room before. Come on. Can you dash, please? Thank you.
Shoutouts to Angie Cartoon in the chat, who is one of our lore aficionados in the community, and has the ability to name each lore tablet as we grab it.
Tablet as we grab it. Yes. So, we are coming up to a fun part here, which is this is what's known as the attic. It is just like it's like 4 tiles wide, and there are 4 power node fragments here, and a whole lot of breach. And if you happen to grab an item while the address bomb animation is going off, you get a reduced frame rate for the entirety of the item grab sequence because the address bomb slows down the frame rate. However, it also slows down the in-game timer, and because we use in-game time to judge this category, all of our categories in fact, you do not actually lose time from grabbing things while the address bomb is going off. But it peaks slow. That takes 45 seconds for the animation, the item grab animation to complete. If the address bomb is going off at maximum slowness, which can be pretty steep.
At the hotfix.
Oh yes, at GDQ hotfix. Gosh. You did. In fact, you showed it off more than once, if I remember correctly.
It was not more than once. It was just once. Okay, I mean, it's slow enough that it kind of feels like it. I think I got about a 35-second one.
And so now I'm going to, this is another technique that Orloth introduced into here. There is I'm probably doing it from the wrong place.
Yeah, you just saw Elsinova. She was that serpent on top of, yeah, you need the middle tile there.
Yep, there we go. And so that lets us clip down here. This was actually a really big time save that Orloth introduced, because otherwise, like before this, we had to like go around and then kind of wander our way back, and also navigate this place.
This pink room that we skipped coming through is a pain both ways, and just doing a clip there to eliminate one way through this section is worth it.
Yeah, it was really good. So thank
you. Depth.
Yes. Now, so we're actually going to get some map. We're going to retread some map tiles that we had to retread before because I died in YOLO room a long time ago. And but we are going to come down here. We're going to go ahead and grab yet another note. Angie, can you tell us which note this is? I'm actually curious to know.
I'm pretty sure that's one of the ones in the Rizalki conversation.
That's the storm.
Nice.
It's I thought it was. I thought it was Plan B, but I was wrong. Or like the reply to. Anyway, the moral of the story is there's lots of notes in this game. There's also stuff hidden in just like random places. So like here's another size note in just a random place. We're gonna go ahead and save here. This is gonna be our second to last save point for the game. We're only gonna save once more, and that's well, maybe twice more. I might take safety saves before the last two bosses, and not just the last boss. Wait, I don't need to take a safety save before the last boss. I will take one safety save before the second to last boss.
Yeah. With the amount of damage mitigation from coats and the amount of health nodes we have, there's not a whole lot that can actually do us harm at this point compared to how dangerous the early game was. But the second to last boss is probably the thing that is scary.
Yes.
And right at the end of the run can kill runs.
It is true, though. I mean, in terms of run dying, this run is really
this
kind
one
of
was dead in Yellow Room.
This run is a little bit zombified, but we'll take it. We'll take it. All right. Let's see. There's an item down here that we couldn't get before. I'm just gonna recall you. I don't think it matters. There is a strat in this room which is called pea squeeze, and that is because the person who invented it drinks a lot of water, and this was about the point in the run where they were holding in their pee, and that's why it's called pea squeeze, not because of anything about the strat itself.
Because if you can't pull off the trick, you're in trouble.
Love you, Willow. Oh, nice diagonal dashes to get out of that hallway.
Thank you. So we're coming up on the end of Absu Cleanup, and so by now I hope you understand why Absu Cleanup is one of the most boring cleanups in the game. It's fun to do because I'm doing the motion, but if you're watching me, I'm sorry that you have to sit through this part of the run. Comparatively speaking, like it's still fun. I don't know, I'm still doing cool stuff. It's just like
Absu is huge and has 3 distinct textures in it: the pink, the green, and the prison. So, yeah.
Yeah. So now we are in Z again, and this is the last place that we'll be cleaning up before we go to the end game. Oh, come on. Wow. So we picked up a needle in Eden before, and we're gonna pick up another one here. This one is red, the other one is purple. It doesn't actually matter which order you get them in. They are the same, they are like twins. But what they do is when Trace's health is full, little tentacles will grow out of his back and shoot bullets for him. It's creepy. It's creepy as heck. And they're also not that useful, so like, why?
And they are also applied by Wi-Fi somehow, because
yes,
we're hacking reality.
Well, I mean, they're like basically injected into his body. Well, anyway, yeah. Moral of the story is tentacles bad. Let's go shopping.
Wait, what? This is news to me. Okay, I shouldn't talk about this on. Yeah.
Yes. So part of the reason why I'm annoyed at Z Cleanup is because I have this corridor that I'm in right now. I have tried to route the back part, like the walking back out of this corridor, out several times. I have never found a satisfactory routing that gets rid of this corridor. Like I want to not have to walk back out of it because it's so many door transitions and it's so long and there's all of these bushes. And it's not even like a straight shot. Like it's very hard to coat swap effectively through there. But unfortunately, the way that Z is laid out, there's just not a good way to get rid of it. So, you know, we're gonna roll with the punches.
Thank you for the raid, Varric the Doom Marine.
Yes.
We appreciate your defense against the demons.
Raid of 6, folks. You guys are here right in time. We're nearing the end of Axiom Verge, hosted by SaberaMesia.
Right.
I should probably get out before a Doom Marine comes and kills me because my avatar's a demon. I shouldn't have said that.
Oh, right. Cool. So the cool technique for this area that I came up with is called Swarp. This is actually the first hundo strat that I came up with. Swarp is short for Sabera Warp. So it's not very interestingly named. But we have to drop our drone down here to get these map tiles. And if we embed ourselves in the wall over there while we do that, then we can basically just hold right when we come back and hey, we're here and we missed map tiles here and there's items here. As opposed to having to recall the drone and then like climb the steam area and take the door transitions, and it saves about 12 seconds. Swarp. I was really proud of myself for that one, and then I routed out an additional like 5.5 minutes out of this run. I was like, oh, I saved 12 seconds. Goody me.
We've attempted to do a lot of rerouting of both Absu and Z to try to cut out some of the loops and backtracking, and they've really resisted it, both. We can find little optimizations, but no big improvements.
Yeah. So this save point, right at the top of Z, we used to save at that, and then go, there's this little like mini dungeon right here that is really slow if you just do it with the drone. And so we send Trace through, but it's also really long, so it doesn't make sense to go back through it. So we save warp out of it, and we used to save warp to that that thing at the top of Z. But Orloff figured out that we could just save warp back to the save point that we got before, and pick up some stuff that we haven't actually gotten in Absu yet, and it's faster. And I love it.
Yeah, as long as Absu cleanup was, we're not done. There's more.
But wait, there's more. Yes. I actually had a much more annoying setup for finishing Absu cleanup before that involved a very finicky to set up displacement warp. But we don't do that anymore.
As cool as it was.
Nobody ever did it except for me anyway, so...
Well, yeah.
It was literally only my thing. Nobody else was even convinced that it was faster, and I'm still not sure that it is. But it's definitely not faster than what we do now.
So back in Absu, we're going to climb up past the area where Talal was and go into an area we call Spider Heck.
Yes, and you will see why it's called Spider Heck. It's pretty self-explanatory. Ooh. Would be nice if I could.
I am mentally stealing myself already.
Yep. As you should. Alright, welcome to Spider Heck. Oh right, you're behind a little bit, but welcome to Spider Heck.
I'm sure it's worse if I could hear the noises.
It's definitely worse if you can hear the noises. But all right, so that's India, that's Kura, that's Z, that's Absu, that's Arabu, that's Ekerma, that's Eden. Ukana is the only thing that we don't have all of the map in, and that's where we're going right now. So yeah, we are very close to the end of the game at this point. So we're just going to do drug skip one more time. Now, the first time that we did drug skip, we couldn't just walk out to the left because there was no room to the left of this in the hallucination sequence. But now that we're not in the hallucination sequence anymore, we can just go left. We don't have to do additional grapple shenanigans to get into the save point.
Everybody say hi to Elsa Nova again.
Yep.
Tell her she's beautiful.
No. Elsa Nova.
You see how much she's carrying?
All right,
say,
that's
she's
everything
beautiful.
you can know. All right, cool. This is the last area of the game, Mar Uru. It is extremely straightforward compared to literally everywhere else in the game. It also contains just about the only thing that can kill us, which is Zetterhul. Zetterhul is a redux of the first boss of the game, Zetter. So Zetter was really easy. Zetterhul is not difficult, but things can go wrong. But first we have to face Sentinel.
It's as if Zetter was collecting upgrades the entire time the game was running, just as you were. He's mean. Alright, Sentinel.
Yes.
Right. Apologies for people's sound and volume, because when you're running 2 different hits per frame weapons on an enemy that is heavily armored, you get a lot of armor pings, and they add up a bit. So I should have warned people to turn down their volume ahead of time. I apologize.
It's fine.
But
now,
right when they're death, we grapple through and skip the boss end sequence. We could have grappled out earlier, but we do need to kill the boss for the requirements of the category.
Fun thing that's coming up in a couple of rooms, for those of you who are watching behind, or like the room that's just coming up, there is actually an intended kind of like puzzle for how you're supposed to get into this room, but it's slower and harder to pull off than the glitch. So we actually just grapple clip. Ooh, wow, that was bad. Through the floor, and that just subverts the entire puzzle. I'm going to take a safety save in this upcoming save room because the very next boss is Zetterhul, and he is the hardest boss in the game. That is not a joke. So I want to make sure nothing too bad happens. But first I also have to collect the size node that's buried in here. Whoop. Jorp. Okay.
As she dodges and jukes around these sentries to make sure that she doesn't take too much damage, that she has a full life bar for Zetterhul. So left, right, and then when he goes into his bombing range, you get under him and you red code into him. You're taking damage from his bombs the whole way, and that's a really solid quick kill.
And that is more than half my life bar gone, and that is not even the most damage that I have taken from Zetter in that fight.
And it's true. You can just walk out the left side Tangenith. That's the only boss you don't have to fight. You're not locked into the room with it. And that means you won't see it on the splits that speedrun mode shows. But as long as the boss has started its death animation and won't respawn when we go back to that room, we still count it for the category.
Yeah, in order for it to show up on the splits, we have to wait for the death animation to completely complete.
And that's slow, and we'll only do it if we need the health from it. A safer kill is usually to stay under it and just flamethrow it when he's doing his bombing run. But Sabera was willing to take the risk and took a lot of damage to kill him, a few seconds earlier.
I needed to get at least one of the swaggy things that's supposed to be easy to work correctly. Okay. So, this is the last save point before the final boss. I'm going to really quickly okay. I'm going to do something a little extra safer than I need to, which is I'm going to send my drone out of the save room so that I can use it to reset the room and not take a hit from the disco ball that's been following me. And then I'm going to move on into the final boss chamber and just do meme strats.
There's a lot of story that goes into this final boss, and I don't want to spoil anyone's casual playthrough. But yeah, we just kind of cheese it.
Yes.
You can stay in the room, and the red coat does more damage to that weak point. But for marathon, we just do this.
Yeah. So time is coming up.
And Elsinore
when
was
the
helping us.
yes, when the screen fades to black, but that is the oh, did I miscount? I think I miscounted. Never mind. Hold on a second. I got to do this one more time. There we go. I don't know how to count to 3. I'm sorry. And Fat Beam. Oh, that's right. Too early. Let's try that again while actually watching the stream.
I don't know what the stream is.
And
Fat
Fat Beam. There we go.
I don't know how our voices are lined up with the stream.
Yeah, I actually don't know how our voices are lined up with the stream. So this is a completely valid run, but it has 2 unintentional deaths in it. The fact that I managed to come in under estimate while taking, I think, straight up 8 minutes of time loss.
We've done a lot of work rerouting this category in the last few months, and 7-minute difference. So
in my defense, I was not world record holder yet, even for the first time when I submitted this run. It was like a 120s. I think I had a 126 something when I submitted this run.
I think the world record at that time was 123 or something like that.
No, there was never a 123 on the board.
Oh, right.
You had a 124, I got a 122, you got a 122, I got a 118.
I'd probably have a 122, it would just be in hours.
All right. So what's our final total on the on which one lost? It was no Speedo ended up losing.
Lost by $2 at 193.
$193 is what it is. So here we go. I'm a woman of my word. So one moment. Ooh. Don't do that.
So while she's doing that, Axiom Verge, wonderful game. You can pick it up on pretty much any platform these days. And Axiom Verge 2 will be coming out early next year.
And the speedrun missed basically all of the lore, all of the item explanations. So for people who play it casually, there's a whole bunch to learn about this game and the world it takes place in, yeah?
Yes. The speedrun mode automatically cuts out all of the talking. And there's a lot of really deep lore. It's nitty-gritty 90s sci-fi. And yeah, really
I
great.
might have to stream this myself in the future. Like, I'm grossed out by this game, but it's in a cool way.
Yeah, and this is such a good game. And there we go. We are now... Can somebody please donate $50? We're at $24.50 now.
I mean, we do still need $19 for that controller cam for Donkey Kong Jungle Beat.
Oh, I should have
By the way, I'm so sorry I didn't point this out. Over the course of the speedrun, we completely shot past the goal for Weird Dreams See Every Death. $253 raised out of 100. So we will get to see every death in that game when we run it. Thank you guys so much.
I actually accidentally, without realizing that goal was met, applied my donation to that. So you can actually take some of the money out of that and shift it over to the controller Kim for Donkey Kong Country.
I'm not in charge of that, but we'll see if it can happen.
All right. Thank you all, folks, so much for sticking around and watching. This has been a great run. I mean, it was a terrible run, but it was a lot of fun to do. And yeah, I'm SaberaMesia. I stream this game and other games, and come hang out sometime.